Yo, what's up guys, my name's Nathan and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be channeling my inner retail therapist and, well, I'm more the subject than the therapist. But I want to run through my most recent pickups because it's been a long time since I've talked about anything that I buy. I haven't reviewed anything new that I've bought. You don't even know half the things that I have on the channel unless you follow me on Instagram at Flasson. So we're going to run through a few things today. I think it's going to be quite interesting because in the past I've only talked about clothing and things like that. Well, literally clothing, and I don't think I've ever gone out of my way to talk about anything else really. So I guess for this video we're going to be talking through fashion in terms of some clothes that I picked up or the ones that I think are worth sharing, not stuff like this because it's just like it's a Pro Club t-shirt from Blacksmith Store. Shout out Blacksmith Store. Beyond clothing, I want to talk to you briefly about some footwear that I've bought. There's not actually been a whole lot that I've bought that you haven't already seen in some way, but just a few ones in the last few weeks that I've picked up, I'll share today. And beyond that, I wouldn't mind talking to you about some of my music pickups and just some little things that I've found interesting in the last few months. So first up, we're going to get my first clothing pickup out of the way because my heating's not come on quite yet and it's cold. So as you can probably tell by the colour, this is the Yeezy 2020 vision, and what a vision it was. Getting to be president, that would have been something. So yeah, this is pretty cozy, I can't lie. So obviously this is something that came out last year as part of Kanye's presidential campaign. It wasn't available in the UK. I'm pretty sure you had to have a registered voting address in the US to get this. The hoodie itself's double layered, and I am gonna guess, but I swear it's about 1.5 kilograms. If you've ever seen the Speed Hunters or quite a few double layered Balenciaga hoodies and you felt the weight of them, it's quite comparative to that. I'd say it's also similar in a way to Supreme hoodies. The weight's there, but I think this has got quite a bit more to it. One of the good things with this, with it being double layered and however they've constructed it, is made it really like puffy and just really like cozy looking. And I think that's just perfect for the current climate in the UK. This only came in the other day and I have literally not taken it off since. So whilst we're on the subject of things that got delivered the other day, I actually got these pleated trousers in. Obviously you'll think, oh, it's the Issey Miyake like on police pair. They're not. So they're so in fashion now and so on trend that a lot of people are trying to make duplicate sort of pairs to them, like any brand does when something gets in fashion. These are by a South Korean brand, and to be fair, I haven't seen the Issey Miyake ones in hand. I've seen them on a rail, but these just seem really close. And apparently a lot of the problems with the dupe pairs is that they don't hold their pleats, so that's pretty quintessential to a pleated pant. So these are awesome, and I must say guys, if you want a pair of trousers where it feels like you're not wearing anything at all, these are great for that. Next up, I have never been a fan of wool, but here we are, we move. This is the Paloma wool. I think it's called the Inertia knit. So as you can see, it's got that spiral on it in a lovely sort of rusty orange brown color, and then a nice bright orange, and it's just beautiful, honestly. And for whatever reason, it smells so good. Maybe it just smells of something I've come into contact with, but it smells beautiful. I may just smell glorious. So one of the things about Paloma wool, it is a unisex brand, even though you only ever really see them in women's categories on websites. So for a lot of guys that aren't looking in the women's categories, you'd miss out on some really good pieces. If you go on Paloma wool's actual website, you get to see what it looks like on men and women, and I think I'm just about the right size to fit the biggest size that they do. If you are over 6 foot, you might have your navel out wearing one of these. It's not necessarily a cheap brand, but it's not high-end prices as well, so it's actually pretty accessible to get this good sort of wool. And I must say, whilst I haven't got loads of wear out of it, because obviously the circumstances are pretty shit right now, it's a beautiful piece, and I'm hoping I can get more wear out of it soon. Right, let's do a quick, simple one. I'll get up instead. So this next item is by a brand called Illicit Block. They make kind of like athleisure tracksuits and things like that, and that's the first time I saw them. It's just not often something that I'd wear myself, despite them being like really well made. But at one point I did like a 5k run and I was feeling good about myself, and I was like, holy shit, there's a running club t-shirt with twice the distance that I ran on it, and that is enough of a reason for me to want to buy this. Now again, with a brand like this is a UK based brand. I think they make it all in the UK. They aren't blanks that they've bought in from like Rue Porter or anything like that. These are blanks that they've made themselves in the UK, designed by them, printed by them, and they're absolutely brilliant. The retail on these things are quite steep, but I feel like if you get something like this, one, it's going to last you forever, and two, you know that your money's going to the right kind of people. They're not cutting corners and just being a bit shitty and putting the price up because they kind of think they can get away with it. This is well worth the money. It's like a vintage boxy fit with a high neck, and it's just super cozy, really heavy, good material. I wore this in the last video and never made a thing about it because I just kind of wanted to wear it. But this is the Undercover Nosferatu with the sequins. You've got Nosferatu doing a little on the front. This was probably one of the only things that I've been interested in buying since I saw it on Runway, but it's one of those things where, and I've never bought anything that I've seen on Runway before, and I was always afraid it was going to be like, well, it was ridiculously expensive, but you look at it and I'm like, I know this isn't for me, but as a massive horror fan, this is for me. When one came up for sale and I've had it in mind that I want it, I still can't warrant the price, but I bought it just because of the scarcity of it coming up and me taking all the measurements, asking like 20 questions just to sort of validate the purchase, thinking, well, once I press pay, like that's it now, innit? So this is probably one of the best things I've bought ever, so I'm just really happy to finally own it. And it's a bit like flamboyant and like over the top, but I really love that about it, and I love horror. So finally, for clothing, we're just going to quickly touch on this. I feel like everyone's quite familiar with it right now. It's a Buxton zip-up hoodie. It has 2 zips on it, so you can bring it up halfway and do whatever you like. Buxton's been absolutely smashing it. I will say, they've opened a store, they're selling out on ends, selling out in store, selling out online. They're doing really good. And you know what? Athleisure and this sort of stuff that Illicit Block are doing, Buxton are doing, like sort of things that like Represent are doing. Everyone needs these, like, not necessarily high end, but like essential, well made, cozy clothes. But you don't want to sit in your pajamas and feel like shit, but you don't want to get dressed up because you're just going to be sat down on Zoom. So I think this is like that fine line in the middle. Next up, speaking of being cozy, we're going to get into footwear. So I've only bought 2 things recently, and one of these is very not like me. So if you've been following my channel for a long time, I'm a sneaker guy. I don't really wear much else. So for me to get a Reebok Beatnik and actually think these are one of the best things that I've ever bought in terms of footwear, yeah, I'm laughing. I'm not a sandal kind of guy. I thought I'll test them out, and if I don't like them, I'll just send them back. Well, as soon as my foot touched that footbed, my foot was basically in bed. It wasn't getting out of there because these are so comfortable. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is garishly ugly. But you know what? No one fucking cares anymore. One thing that's good that's come out of this, everyone is coming out of lockdown caring about themselves a lot more and not caring so much about what they look like, I feel. And this is just epitomizes that. These are ugly but cozy, and you can go to Tesco's and buy some instant noodles with these on. No one bats an eyelid. Do you know what? And if they do bat an eyelid, they've probably just got a twitch. So another random thing that I bought during lockdown that I didn't want but also did want, I wanted some New Balance because, again, they're going a bit wild. We all know how good New Balance was last year. But I managed to pick up the New Balance Stray Rats. I've beat them to the ground already. I picked these up off a guy from the basement for a really good price, pre-worn, but you know what? These are a banging pair, and the purple matches this, so I'm laughing really, aren't I? And then last but not least, talked about these in my tier video. It's just the Sacai Vapor Waffle. I think this is one of the best shoes of last year, and I'm so glad that I picked it up late. The price that I paid wasn't actually too bad, to be honest. I think I picked it up whilst the prices still hadn't sort of spiked. I much prefer something like this to the original waffle, just more my kind of thing. I've got them really dirty on the midsole, as you can see, because I kind of got stranded the other day and I was stuck in mud with them on. But yeah, one of the best shoes of 2020. Glad to have them. Next up, what have we got next? Let's do a new ting, you know? An Isaac new ting. So obviously I said at the beginning of the video, I want to talk to you about music recommendations and things like that. And if you're not interested, then feel free to skip this and I'll say goodbye now. I'm not going to act like Anthony Fantano, but I'm just going to run through a few of my favourite releases that I've picked up recently because I've been starting to get into collecting vinyls and things like that. So I'll just talk through them really. So this is a band called, and it's such a pretentious name, and So I Watch You From Afar. They're basically a guitar band. I'm not going to get massively into the kind of music that it is because I don't want to miscategorize something and then some snob tells me that it's not prog rock, it's post avant-garde two-step jazz or something daft. But anyway, this one's called The Endless Shimmering. It's basically guitar music, there's no lyrics at all, and it's normally not a thing that I'd like, but this is a banging album. So next is Ethan P. Flynn's B-Sides and Rarities. Again, this is a really good album from last year, but it's music from 2015 to 2018, and it's got bonus tracks on it, and it's such a meme, and I love it. This man has done production and writing for people like FKA Twigs. He's worked with Black Midi, he's worked with Black Country New Road, kind of like the London prog rock, prog punk scene. He's pretty big in it, and his own music is exceptionally good as well. And he's worked with Slow Tie, I believe. It's weird, that album's weird. It's hard to describe, so I'm not going to bother. I'm sort of just going to give you the recommendation. Next, you'll probably notice a theme. This is a band called Death Crash. Their guitar music as well, but this time there is singing. It's kind of drony, long story. It takes you through a little bit of a story because the tracks are quite long. So this is the People Thought My Windows Were Stars LP. This is the limited edition one. I'm not too sure what makes this limited edition, but it's signed, so that's really good. And then last but not least, the album that came out yesterday that everyone's been hyping up for so long, Black Country New Road. This is the For the First Time LP. It's a 6-track LP. A few of the singles, actually 4 out of the 6 songs have already been released. 2 out of the 4 that have already been released have been re-recorded with lyric changes. And the gatekeepers of the scene that these come from are not happy at all, and they won't shut up. If you like Slint, you will like that band, with the addition that there's lots of saxophone, violins. It's kind of like a jazz punk fusion. It's fucking awesome. That's all I'll say. And I might leave it at that, to be honest. So I think that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. I don't want to indulge you too much and make this video too long. I just thought I wanted to catch up with you all, really. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just kind of wanted to run you through a few things that I find interesting at the minute. I'm all a bit like wishy-washy about starting these videos back up and like how I even make them anymore. But hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you're staying safe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!